Hello fans, collectors, investors, welcome back to Iconic Baseball. I'm Iconic Al, and we've made it. We are at number 1 on my countdown. This is my list of the 100 greatest and most iconic ball players in baseball history. And let me start by saying how truly rewarding this whole process has been. Joining YouTube, getting on this thing, making a channel. I'd never created content in my life. I've been a collector my entire life, but never really knew how to do all this. So I'm really glad that I went to Office Max and I bought a couple pieces of presentation board and I glued some stickers on them and I just kind of made this thing happen. It has been one of the most amazing things. It's added more to my hobby than I've ever imagined that it would. Maybe the most joyous aspect of this are the great channels that I've been able to collaborate, both on interviews on their channels and having them do guest spots on my videos. Let me just start at the top by thanking Adam from Splendid Sports for his help on the Pedro Martinez video on the countdown. My brother Brian, who now has a new channel, by the way, called High Pop Professor. He's just new to YouTube now, so give him a follow, give him a sub, because he has a great channel dedicated to predominantly the era of junk wax, high pop wax, whatever you want to call it, 90s inserts, the innovation era. So check out my brother's new channel. His name is Brian. He helped me out with my Greg Maddux video. Next up, Theo, Clemente Collector. Obviously, he helped me on my Clemente video, which was greatly appreciated. Don of Don's Field of Dreams helped me out with my Stan Musial video. Sammy of Sammy Thunder helped me out with my Christy Mathewson video. You had John Mangini of the Mangini Collection, did a great showing of Hannes Wagner cards for my Wagner countdown video. Mike Moynihan, Baseball Collector, did a brief little cameo for my Lou Gehrig video. Jake of Legends Never Die did an amazing contribution for my Henry Aaron countdown video. George of Diamond Yard Sports Cards helped me out with my Walter Johnson countdown video. Scott of Ranger Studios was a great, amazing help on my Cy Young countdown video. Showed some amazing artwork there. Adam of Vintage Sanctuary did an amazing job last week for my Willie Mays countdown video. And I'm not gonna give anything away, but I have a special guest today coming up. In fact, 2 special guests coming up today. And rather than me do the primary introduction for this player, who you all know is coming, he has many nicknames that you're probably already aware of, such as
the Sultan of SWAT, the King of Crash, the Colossus of Cloud, the Colossus of Cloud, the Great Bambino.
Now, due to the importance of this particular video, I thought it appropriate to send it over to someone just a bit more iconic to kick this thing off.
Hey Al, it's Pete Rose here. I gotta say, I'm not too happy about this countdown ranking Babe Ruth at number 1.1. Come on. Where's the respect for the hit king? But, hey, he's the best. And it's been a heck of a ride watching your countdown over the past 2 years, okay? Keep swinging for the fences. And remember, records are meant to be broken, except mine. Wink, okay? Cheers and good luck, okay? By the way, the greatest player ever, I believe, was Babe Ruth.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
You know, there's 2 kinds of hitters, a choke hitter and a swing hitter. Now, a swing hitter generally gets the full length of the bat and swings right from the heel, where a choke hitter shortens his bat about 3 or 4 inches, stands flat-footed, and just pokes at the ball and not that full swing. Hey, Mike, throw me a few, will you? Now, see, that was choke hitting. Now I'll show you swing hitting. Get it right at the end, just like that. And come back and... Swing hitting depends entirely on balance and timing. Notice that my weight is on my left foot. As I start swinging, my weight shifts to my right foot at the time of contact with the ball. The force of the swing makes a perfect follow through. Swing hitting is the most popular style, but you take more chances of missing the ball.
Born in 1895 in Baltimore, Maryland, George Herman Ruth would go on to become not only the greatest baseball player in history, but the most recognizable sports figure in world history. The man was and is as iconic as it gets. Babe Ruth is baseball. In fact, he changed the game, making the home run a legitimate batting strategy. Prior to this, the game was more about contact hitting, station-to-station baseball, Ty Cobb's brand of baseball. Before we even get into Babe Ruth as a hitter, you have to mention that early in his career, he was an ace pitcher for the Red Sox with a career record of 94 and 46. He had a 2.28 career ERA and a 1.159 WHIP. He was a two-time 20-game winner with an ERA title. He pitched Boston to 2 World Series championships in 1916 and 1918. In fact, as a pitcher, he put up 8.8 WAR in 1916 and a 6.6 WAR in 1917. By 1918, it was clear that Babe Ruth was transitioning to predominantly a hitting talent, and it was the first year that he compiled more WAR as a hitter than as a pitcher. By the time Ruth was sold to the Yankees in 1920, he was exclusively a hitter, and he proved to be the greatest singular talent the game has ever seen. Over the course of his career, he compiled 182.6 WAR, by a large margin the highest ever. He hit for a 342 career batting average and got on base at a 474 clip. He slugged 690 for his career, the highest ever. He had a career OPS of 1.164, also the highest ever. His career OPS plus of 206 is also the highest in baseball history. When it came to hitting home runs, Ruth was an outlier. At certain points in his career, he was hitting more home runs by himself than entire teams. He compiled 714 home runs during a period where that was just silly. It was a silly number. In fact, that record stood until Henry Aaron broke the record in 1974. He compiled 2,873 hits, 2,214 RBI, still second all time, and 2,174 runs, still fourth all time. What gets lost in all the home run hype is that Ruth was a skilled and discerning hitter. On top of his 342 career average, he walked 2,062 times compared to striking out 1,330 times for a 474 on base percentage. So the man was just a pure hitter that happened to have power. As baseball fans, we often debate, peak dominance versus compiled longevity. Well, Babe Ruth was a different animal. His peak was unrivaled, and it lasted for 17 years. Just look at these WAR numbers. A 9.1 WAR in 1919, 11.9 in 1920, 12.8 WAR in 1921, a 14.1 WAR in 1923, 11.4 in 1924, 11.4 in 1926, 12.6 WAR in 1927, 10.2 WAR in 1928, 8.1 WAR in 1929, 10.3 WAR in 1930, 10.5 WAR in 1931, and an 8.5 WAR in 1932. Just astonishing. The legend of Babe Ruth is cemented by an epic postseason career, most notably with the Murderers Row New York Yankees of the 1920s. Between his time in Boston and New York, he won 7 World Series championships. In 41 World Series games, Ruth hit .326 with 15 home runs and 33 RBI. He got on base at a 470 clip. Before we jump into my humble Babe Ruth collection, I am honored to have a guest contribution from a guy that I consider the mayor of the hobby community here on YouTube, such a supportive member of the community. He's on every live stream. He's the first to comment on almost all of my videos. When I asked him to participate, if he would participate in this countdown video, he agreed immediately, but he said, give me a few days because I have to get my cards at the bank. That's probably a good indication that you're dealing with a guy with some serious cards, which I knew. I've seen his Babe Ruth cards on his channel before, so you're in for a treat if you haven't. Of course, I am talking about Orlando from A Collector's Dream.
Hello everyone, this is Orlando from A Collector's Dream. And today I just want to do a quick video for Iconic Al. I want to thank him for contacting me and allowing me to talk about Babe Ruth, my favorite player, other than Mickey Mantle. Babe Ruth, those are my two favorites. And Babe Ruth, in almost everyone's opinion, was the greatest baseball player of all time. And even people that do not know baseball, when you mention Babe Ruth, they know the name. So I want to start off really with some affordable Babe Ruth cards, because everybody wants to have a Babe Ruth card, and these are the 1962. They released a series of cards, which was the Babe Ruth Special. And I'm just going to share these with you quickly. And this is the first one in the series, Babe as a boy. And you have Babe when he joins the Yankees. There he is with his first manager, Miller Huggins. And you have the nice shot here of the famous slugger batting. And you have a beautiful card here of Garrick and Ruth together. And this was the retirement speech. And in the back it tells you the whole story. So this is a nice little subset if you cannot afford a Ruth card. This is Twilight Years. This is still vintage from 1962. This is where he was coaching for the Dodgers. You don't see Babe with any other uniform other than that one with the Dodgers coach. Again, he was the sports hero of the day, and he wasn't just an incredible player, the best player ever, but he was also famous for being in movies and just being an all-around nice guy. There's lots of autographs. He signed for everybody. This is farewell speech. And this one you're looking at here is the one where he hit 60 home runs. That record stood for many, many years until Roger Maris broke that record. And Ruth passed away in 1948. And when he passed away, Leaf was creating cards. They were making their 48, 49 Leaf cards, which really are 49 Leaf cards. They were distributed in 1949. And when Ruth passed away, it was late in 1948. They decided to add him to the set. So they added him to the set. This is the top of the box of the 1949 Leaf box of cards. This is the top of the box. And there it said, free big picture of baseball's all-times great with the purchase of the last package in this box. So you'd buy a pack of cards, it'd have 49 Leaf cards, 48, 49, but they are 49 officially. And what they did was they did have a Ruth card in that set, but they also had premiums that they had in those sets. And this is let me get you a good look at that. It's the 1949 Leaf premiums. And these were included in the box of cards for the 1949 Leaf. Of course, the 49 Leaf of the cards that included, they had a Babe Ruth card in there, which is similar to this one here. And they also had of course, the famous Jackie Robinson and the Satchel Paige and all of those. But they did include Babe, and this is the premium. And it talks about him. It says the baseball's beloved Sultan of Swat, George Herman Babe Ruth, all-time champion home run hitter, and fandom's most popular player. So he was the fans' most popular player. This was inserted in the box. There's a cutout of the box inside the bottom of the box. And the person who bought the last pack of the box would get this. As time went on and they distributed a little bit more, they actually changed it and had a different version of it without all the writing. And this one also is a 1949 Leaf Premium. It's the 7B version, which is no bio. So what they did was they actually wanted to highlight Babe Ruth. And there's other players in this 49 Premium set, like Lou Gehrig and you know, a lot of the Hall of Famers. But really, they highlighted the Babe. And then when they came out with the last series, which was the most scarce series of the cards that had the short prints and stuff, they released this version of it. And this is also the 1949 Leaf Premium, but this is the blue background. And this is the rarest one. And this one here is, there's less than five known to exist. And it was actually, you know, released very, very late in the prints. And you can kind of see how the name here is good. Here it kind of faded out, but it's not because of the, you know, they're both fours. It's because it was printed later on after these images. So these are the 3 Babe Ruth premiums that were included in the 49 Leaf cards right after Babe passed away. So moving on to some of his current day cards. First of all, I'm going to show the 1928 Harringtons. And this card was given out with ice cream at the Harrington's ice cream stores. There's other versions of this. There's the Tharps and the Yinglings. Basically, it's the same photo. And what I love about this one is it shows him in the old style photos of him pitching. So that's kind of cool to see him in the pitching pose. And that's the Babe. And the back of this card is really neat because the back tells you, and it looks like it has someone's fingerprint. Maybe they got some ice cream on their finger. That's the, you know, so it was handed out with ice cream, but it says, save these pictures. 1 ice cream novelty will be given free for each picture of Babe Ruth. Also, 1 gallon of Harrington's ice cream will be delivered free to the holder of a complete set of 60 baseball stars upon surrender of the same. So, if you got this Babe Ruth card, it said you will get a free ice cream for each one. So you would turn this card back into the Harrington dealer and they would give you a free ice cream. So this makes this card a little more scarce. There's, I don't know the exact population, but probably less than 50 of these exist. And this is from the year after the 1927 season, which was his, the Yankees' Murderers Row, one of the great seasons ever in Yankee history. The next one I want to show you is one of my favorites. That's the 1922. Get a good look at that. The 1922 E121 American Caramel. Let me focus on that. This is one of my favorite cards because what this has is 3 different versions of the Babe. It has kind of a portrait version, then it has him in a batting stance, and you can see down there, right at the bottom, it has a field with him batting, and that's him right down there also. So that Babe, and that's 3 versions of Babe. It's called the montage version, and this was from 1922. It's a caramel issue from American Caramel. You can see the back of this. It tells you where it came from, and I'll focus on that a little bit so you can see here. And the set consists of 120 of the leading baseball stars of the American and National Leagues. And this was made by the American Caramel Company in Lancaster, New York, Pennsylvania. So this particular card is graded a 2. It's has some creases, of course, on the corner. That corner and that corner has creases. But the image is really, really nice, and that's what, you know, and it's centered. So despite the creases, it's a tough card. It's a rare card from Babe Ruth, and one of my favorite cards of the Babe. I'll show you one more card that I have here to share with you Go ahead and zoom back out here and give you a good look at that blue Babe Ruth, which is really one of the rarest Ruths you'll ever see. But my favorite Ruth, I think, is this one here. And this is the E120 Babe Ruth, and it came out right before the montage version. And this is a much tougher card to find. It's the 1922 American Caramel E120 Babe Ruth. This one's also in a VG3. And the Ruth here is just a beautiful Ruth with him holding the ball in the pinstripe uniform with the old style Yankee hat. It says outfield for the New York Americans. And that ornate border that it has around it is just beautiful. It just gives it a little bit of class. And he's holding the ball there. And this one was from 1922. These are all playing days. And the back was what I really like about this card, because this predates Lou Gehrig. So when you look at the back of the card, it tells you that the first baseman was Wally Pipp. And it gives you the whole team. And this is a tougher card to find because there were 240 cards total produced in this American Caramel set. And it produced 15 players for each of the 16 major league teams. So it was very, very tough. I mean, you'd get one card when you bought a candy, a caramel, and there were 240 cards, one at a time. So to pull to get the Babe Ruth card was not an easy task. That's why this is one of the rarest, one of the toughest cards to find. I wouldn't say that rare, probably, again, like 50 known to exist, but one of the nicer Babe Ruth cards. So I want to just, wanted to share some of my Babe Ruth collection, some of my Babe Ruth cards with you guys. And thank you, Al, for allowing me to share some of these cards in my collection. Thanks for watching, guys. It's Orlando from A Collector's Dream, and I'll catch you on the next one.
All I can say is, wow, thank you so much, Orlando, for sharing those amazing pieces of history. Check out his channel at A Collector's Dream on YouTube. You will not regret it. Again, thank you, Orlando. Okay, now on to my Ruth collection. First off, let's start with this relic. This is probably my most cherished relic in my collection from a set that I have shown many times, the 2001 ST Legendary Cuts bat cards. This is from that early relic period where you're actually getting a piece of game-used material. So it says explicitly on the back, from a bat used in an MLB game by Babe Ruth, which is immensely cool to me. This is a card that I will be sending off for grading right after making this video. I'm doing a batch of these thicker relic cards to Beckett. I just prefer the way that Beckett grades these, and the presentation in the Beckett slab I think looks better than in PSA or SGC slabs. So doing a batch of these to BGS. So hopefully, I think this has 9 potential. That would be amazing to get a BGS 9 on a card like this. And that's what I'm really hoping for. But just a beautiful Ruth image, finishing a swing with a really nice chunk of bat on that card. One of my all-time favorites. Had this card for a long time. And then probably the most cherished card in my entire collection, and probably my favorite card, to be quite honest, my playing days Babe Ruth, the 1923 W515-1 hand-cut strip card for Babe Ruth. And the moment I saw this card, I knew this was the one. This was the Ruth image that I wanted to add to my collection. This will be the only playing days Ruth that I'll ever need, and I just love it. It's graded a 1.5. There have been 78 of these graded by PSA, but only about 40 have actually received a number grade. So about half the graded examples have just been designated authentic. So to get a number grade on these is a little bit tougher. And there's only 35 graded higher than this one. So it's a decently rare card. These are blank backs, obviously, hand cut, likely distributed with candy back in the 20s. And there's just so many things about this card that I like. The image itself is nice, detailed line caricature of Babe Ruth. I just think it it captures his likeness very well. The color is so vibrant behind him, really makes the whole thing pop. The card is number 3 in the set, which was Ruth's number. 1923 was a big year for Babe Ruth. In fact, that was his 14-WAR season and arguably his best season ever. So that's pretty cool. 1923 was also the year that Yankee Stadium was erected. It was the house that Ruth built. And so that was a big year for Babe Ruth and for the Yankees organization, being the first year of Yankee Stadium. So a lot going on here. And this is truly from Ruth's prime. So a lot going on here, and that's why I love this card. I've had this for about 5 years now, and it never gets old. I love looking at this thing. But that is my playing days Ruth. All right. And then last but certainly not least, my one and only piece of original Scott Reindeer Studios artwork. It's a beautiful ink rendering of the Babe. I saw this was part of Scott's Inktober series. I saw him do this on, I think it was an Instagram reel. And so you can kind of watch him create this piece on Instagram. If you check out his Inktober, I think it was Inktober number day 23. And so I watched him create this thing on Instagram, and I was blown away. The image is just so amazing. You feel like Babe Ruth is here with you when you look at it. So this is original artwork. This is the actual piece that Scott created. This is not a print. And what a cool thing to have. I'm so grateful that I was able to procure this from Scott. Original artwork, and I just love it. I'm gonna probably frame this formally later on, maybe with the Babe Ruth autograph someday. That's something I'd love to acquire someday, but obviously the budget will have to allow it first. But just a beautiful piece by Mr. Scott Reindeer Studios. Be sure to check out his channel for some amazing artwork like this and some great collecting content, as well as a great Etsy store. All right. Well, that concludes this amazing run of countdown videos. Thank you so much for joining me along this process and for watching and following along. It has been the joy of my collecting life. It truly has. The channel will continue, and I look forward to more deep dives, more unstructured content, and just taking you along on my collecting journey. Until next time, everyone, keep collecting and stay iconic.